Good morning. I've missed you guys. Hi. Let me just turn this down. How is everyone? Are we good? Oh, I missed everyone so much. Right. So one, I know at the end of the next live, or the last live, I commented about the change, and it looks like it's changed back to like its original live setting. So maybe people complained about it or something, because my live is how it used to be, with like the comments down here. So I'll try and keep my stitching from here up so that you can see here. And then if anyone needs to read the comments like me, I'll leave them, I'll leave this space clear, or I'll try to. The other thing I want to say is that, one, I'm so excited. I know a lot of you are excited too. So I just want to remind you that just try your best, okay? Yours isn't going to look exactly like mine, although fingers crossed with my amazing teaching, I'll be able to get yours pretty close. But just try your best. It's about having fun. It's about learning something new. It's about experimenting with your colors and your different stitches. Sometimes we'll use stitches that maybe I wouldn't necessarily use for that specific thing. But the whole idea is that we learn more things, and then you'll be able to take what we've learned and hopefully do something on your own. Or when I do the next stitch along, you'll be able to be like, oh, I've done this stitch before. Now I can practice and I can make it even better. So yeah, just try your best. Okay. I know I say at the beginning of every single one, but it's not meant to make you stress out about falling behind. That's why I save the videos to IGTV and to YouTube, because then you can go back. Like if my Instagram ever gets deleted, you have all the videos still on YouTube. If you're feeling so stressed about it, about trying to catch up or not being perfect or anything like that, then you need to take a break and step away, because it's not meant for you to be stressed out. Do you know what I mean? The other thing I want to say is that we are all in this together. So the whole idea is that we stitch it up together. So you like comment on other people's stuff. It doesn't have to be my posts. But go and troll the, or scroll, troll the Barmy Fox SAL, just like this, SAL, which is Stitch Along. And everyone will be, hopefully, again, fingers crossed, posting pictures of their progress. Even you, Robin, even you, that's my mom. She never posts pictures. She's done every single stitch along and she never posts any pictures. And then last night she dropped a picture of her hoop in the Barmy Fox Facebook group. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's showing it. So hopefully everyone can go to the hashtag, like and comment on each other's work. You can ask for suggestions, like what about this color or this color, or do you think I should change this, etc., etc. And hopefully with the community of people that we have, because everyone is so amazing here, we can jump into each other's posts and give some suggestions if you want it. Please don't give unsolicited advice or suggestions, because sometimes people are just doing their best, so they don't really want to see you telling them that they've messed everything up. Especially me. I'm going to go and run and turn on the light because it's a little, it's not as bright as I normally have it. So I'm just going to go run and turn the light on. We're going to start with all 6 strands. I'm going to use this green. I don't have a color number, obviously. I'm a bad embroiderer. But it's just like a nice medium green. And we're going to do this triangle here with a satin stitch, and it's going to be all 6 strands. So all you need to do is pull this straight off and put it on your needle. So I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. That's a bit better, eh? Okay. Separated mine. Now, if you have a 7-inch hoop, most of these, because I have an 8-inch hoop, Most of these will be the same, meaning strands. So you don't necessarily have to go down in strands if you have a smaller hoop. So if you could only get a 7-inch hoop, have one just right here. Nope, that's an 8-inch one. Here. So if you see, it's really not that much smaller. It's just a 1/2 inch on each side. So here and here, so just a tiny bit smaller. You should probably still be fine with the stitch strand suggestions. So the way that I do my thread my needle, and you might do it differently. That's okay. That's another thing that I like to say is that if I show you how to do something and you're like, I don't do it that way, I don't like to do it your way, I like to do it my way, then just do it your way. Like, no one's telling you have to follow my directions. Do you know what I mean? And if you ever want to change the stitches, if you're like, I don't like that stitch, change it. It's fine. Do not worry. I'm not going to get offended or anything like that. So it's all good. We're all good. Okay, so how I do my thread my needle is I put the thread in between my thumb and my first finger like this, and I do this kind of action. So I'm pressing the tips of my finger together, and then I'm pushing like these here together. And I put the eye of my needle right over top where I know the thread is. Obviously, it wouldn't be productive to put it over here. And you just do that motion and it threads your needle for you. Yeah. Some people use needle threaders. Of course you can use a needle threader if you really want to. I don't have my embroidery box over here, or I would show. I used to have one over here, but I probably gave it away because I don't ever use it. Now the end, I like to just make a small knot in there. One, just for ease of showing you what to do. You know what I mean? You don't have to make a knot if you don't want to. I know some stitchers, they just do a couple small stitches in the middle and then they cover it up with whatever stitch they're doing. Sometimes that will work. Sometimes people will just leave a tail like this long on the back. So they'll just start stitching and leave this hanging down on the back. And then at the end, they go back and tie each one of these little things up together. Or it just gets stitched into the back. Some people like doing that. That's completely fine, whichever way that you feel. I'll show you how to do just the regular knot. So what you can do is I just make a loop. Yeah, you just make a loop and then put this little bit here. I should probably put a longer one so I can hold it inside, and I just pull it all the way down to the very end. Like that. Now, if I'm using like 1 strand or 2 strands, a lot of times I'll do 2 or 3 knots. Some people will do the one where you take the end and you wrap it around your needle like this, and then you hold the knot, you hold the wrap, and you pull this through, and it makes a knot. You can do it that way as well. So for this one, we're going to use all 6 strands. I'll show you how to start with no knot on the back. Someone just said, I'm wondering how long the thread should be. I use a bit longer than you probably should, but it is like a personal preference. A lot of people say you should use the length from your tip to here, like the crease in your elbow, and then fold it over for the tail. That's a bit too short for me. So this is about 2 feet, and then a little 7-inch tail, but it's going to be more manageable if it's a little bit shorter for you. The longer the thread, the more likely you'll get into knots. So I tend to use it longer so I don't have to keep getting more and more and more, you know? So brace yourself. I'm going to zoom in. Here we go. So I'm going to start up here at the very tip. So Thistle Witch Stitch says, I use the length from my hand to my shoulder instead. That's probably more That's exactly how long mine is, but then I also have extra for the tail. So you can't really see because I've zoomed in, but I do have extra for the tail, which is, I have little small hands though, so it's probably not beneficial. Okay, so for this one, let's get my purple pen. Okay, so for this one, you can choose which way you want your stitches to go. I'm gonna do mine on an angle like this, and they're all gonna be nice and silky on the same angle, never touching. This is the satin stitch. So you could also do them straight like this, so horizontal instead of on this angle. If you do them horizontal, then you're just going to want to stack them. Boom, 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 all the way up. No space in between. You can also do it straight up and down. Meaning you start in the middle like this and go straight over and straight over. Both ways, all three ways are fine. It just depends on what look you like. So yeah, we're gonna come up from the back here. I can already tell that there's a gap in my hoop. That's not gonna be happy days for me. Annoying. And we are gonna cover up some of this right here, but the stitch we're gonna use is easy, so it's okay. So essentially the satin stitch, you come up on one side, you go down on the other, you keep them very parallel. Parallel means that they never touch, ever, ever, ever. So they want to be touching like this, but they don't want to be like this. They don't want to be like this. You want these lines to be right next to each other with no space in between. So what I like to do when I have a big long space like this is use these guidelines, and that's why I have the Pilot Frixion pen, and I always use a different color so I can see where my lines are. And all I'm going to do is just make some guidelines. Do they have to be perfect? Absolutely not. But they're going to help keep me on track for this angle. Okay, so mine are going to be this way. Like I said, you can do straight across and stack them straight up like this, or you can go straight down the middle and have them completely vertical. That's completely up to you. If you would like to change it, of course you can. Just do it. Go with your gut. So we're going to do the first one like this. And this is going to make that nice and straight like that. So the next one, you just move it over one stitch length, one thread width. Up again. And down again right next to it. Try to stay on the line, Tori, so it's nice and straight. And what you're gonna get is two stitches that look like this. Now, the front and the back, when you do the satin stitch like this, should look the same. So let me flip it over, and you can see on the back, focus please. On the back, we've got the same long stitch as we do on the front. So I'll do a couple more stitches this way, and then I'll show you the thread saver method, which is particularly great if you are running out of thread and you don't have any more, or if you're running out of thread playing thread chicken and you don't want to grab any more thread from your skein. Now, a good way to measure, especially since these are really long stitches, so it's really easy to get a little bit off or a little bit off, is you can put your thread down like this, and then put your needle down right where the thread is lining up, so you know exactly where that needle needs to go. Yeah, so they should be long and straight. Now with this stitch, especially with this way of doing the stitch, meaning you always come up here, you always go down here, be careful not to pull these too tight. You want the threads to just lay on the top of the fabric. We don't want them to be really, really snug, which means we shouldn't see anything like this. So do you see when I pull this right here? Can you tell? just like that, how it's pulling. You should not be pulling it like this. You really want to keep it so that the fabric is relaxed and flat. So you don't want to have any pulling of your fabric. You want to make sure that the outside ring and the inside ring, that it's all tight at all times. I made that sound really serious, but it's really not that serious. You'll just have a bad time if you keep pulling it really tight, because you're never going to be able to get that loose again if you pull it tight like that. Okay, so I'll do just this one more. We're going to do one stitch across the bottom too to sharpen up this bottom part, so don't worry about that. Okay, so we've got it like that. Now I'm thinking, well, I'm running out of thread. Let's do the thread saver. So the thread saver method is where you come up at the top, down at the bottom, then you come up at the bottom and down at the top. So essentially you're working something like this, where it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. And with this, you're not going to have all of that thread on the back. So let me just show you. You're going to come up right next to it and down up here. I've pulled the fabric and now it's pulled. I'm always going to have a little gap there now. God, the sun is just... Can you use the thread saver method from the start? Of course you can. Now, some people I know think that the threads lay a little bit nicer when you... Let me just tighten this at the top. Yeah, some people think that the threads lay a little bit nicer when you do the regular method, meaning that they're all going to be in a row. There we go. I need to get some blinds for that window, I think. In the winter, the sun goes in through a little bit more. You can't see very well, huh? Okay, so here, where do we stop? Okay, so let's flip it over, and then you can have a little look at the back. So in the beginning here, you can see that we have the regular method where you come up at the top, down at the bottom, and you continue on that way. And then this one here, you see where I've just moved over. Do you see that at the top and at the bottom there? So this is where you're going to be saving the thread. So all of the thread will be on the front and not so much on the back. I tend to use a mix of the both of them. So sometimes it's just a little bit easier to put the thread up in a certain position. Like say there's a knot there or something like that. That's completely fine. And you notice that my thread keeps getting twisted. And that's because I'm going the same direction and doing like the same pattern over and over. And you'll find that with your thread. Come on. Come on. Come on. No, I can't skip it. Okay. Sometimes those ads are like 5 or 7 minutes in like the middle of your YouTube video, you know? Like I didn't want to watch that. Thank you. Okay, this one isn't going to go down all the way because we're just filling up that little space. And then I'll come back down here and fill up this one. Okay, so let's get a bit more thread because I ran out. A lot of people ask how to finish the back as well, meaning how to do the knots. You can do just a loop on the back like that. Mine's a bit short for that. So I'm just going to take 3 and 3 and just do like a regular knot. 1, and then again, 2. Sometimes I'll do 3 or 4, it just depends on how many strands I have. If you've got 1 strand, then you might have to obviously do the circle knot one, you know, to finish it off. Just got a wee bit more thread. Man, the sun is just, I'm gonna have to get like blinds. Eventually I'm gonna get those doors that have the blinds in the windows. We have them at the lake house and they're so nice. You can just push them down if they get if it gets a little bit too sunny, you know? Okay, so I've missed a little bit here. So let's just go back and add 1 in. Like that to fill in the shape of that there. And then I'm just going to fill in this one down here. And then we'll cap it off at the bottom with another long straight stitch. Now, if you're going to do this design on like a pillow or a tote bag or something like that, do not use long straight satin stitches like this. And the reason is because when you have a long straight satin stitch like this and you use it on a pillow or a tote bag, something that you're going to use all the time, these stitches are going to get caught. See? They're going to get caught on something. So you want to not use that. So if you're going to do this on a tote bag, substitute any long straight stitches like this, like the satin stitch, with like a split stitch. Or you can tack these down as well using... what was it, the bayou stitch that we did before in the Cozy cottage. So I show how to do that. We used it for the cottage, like the face of the cottage, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just have a think about that. The very last thing I'm going to do is do a straight stitch over the bottom, which of course you don't have to do this either, but I think it caps off the end really nicely, especially if you don't have a nice straight line there. Oh no, I just finished that and then I'm embroidering a cushion cover. Yeah, I would have a think. I'm not saying you can't do that. Okay, so if you've already finished and you're like, I love it, I know I can be careful, then you're fine. You can also go back to, I think I've got it just right here actually. I can show you. So if you go back to this one, you can do something like this. So this is where we did the satin stitch straight down, and then we did a stitch on top and couched it every once in a while. So you can find the full tutorial on how to do that in the Cozy cottage. Back, I think it was May, we did this one. So have a look at that. You can also do something like this over top, which could also would work for like a detail of a tree, if you know what I mean. So yeah, have a think about that, because this right here will help to lock down those stitches so that they don't get snagged. This was actually used on a lot of tapestry a long time ago, so it's a really great stitch if you are worried about that. And lastly, if you really want to, because this one has a line that way, you could do a line here on this side too. But again, you don't have to. If you like it without, then leave it without. If you like it with, leave it with. So there we go. That's pretty much it for the very first day. Let me quickly show you how I do the loop one, because this is the one that Everyone always asks, how did you do that? And how do you get the knot so close to the bottom? So again, you just make your loop like this. Yeah. Put your needle inside the loop. And you can do one of two ways. So you can hold it here really close to the fabric and pull it down. And you can get it like that. Or when you make your loop, you can hold the end of the thread like this, put your needle down here and pull it, and it will direct your knot where it needs to go. So there we go. We have the first day done. Another thing before I forget is if you have, so I've messed up my satin stitches because I was showing you how they pull away. If you have something like this happening where a couple are like sticking out a little bit farther, or maybe you put them a little too close, or maybe for whatever reason they just aren't laying nicely. I've got Jessie hair in there. You can take the eye of your needle like this. So this is the eye of your needle. This is the pointy end. You can take the eye and you can go like this. And it will smooth out any of those that are sticking out and make them a little bit more tame. Mary is waiting for her fabric to arrive to start, and she's looking forward to it. That's exciting. So I've started with an easy stitch. Some people love a satin stitch. You see how my thing is too loose there. Some people love a satin stitch. Some people really, really dislike it. But we'll probably use it again, so it's really great to practice it. So I hope you've had a lovely first day. Okay, there is no stem on this one, by the way. There's no trunk, no tree trunk. Just in case you're wondering, like, is that it? Is that all she's doing? It's just a triangle. So yeah, I hope you had a lovely first day. If you have any questions at all, DM me. I hope to see your pictures in the Barbie Fox SAL. Be sure to tag me. I don't think I went over tagging in this stitch along yet, but when you tag, if you go into your stories and you swipe up, there's an @ and then it says mention. You can tag me there, or you can use the text feature, which is an A at the very top of the screen up here. And when you do that, you type out @ and then the Barmy Fox. Make sure you wait until I pop up at the bottom, so there'll be like a suggestion, and you can click on that, or make sure there's a line underneath my name. If there's a line under, it will notify me that, hey, someone's tagged you. And that way I can repost your post into my stories. So I try to do most of them, but we've had a lot more people join this one than ever before. So that's really exciting. The last thing to say before I sign off for the day is that if you are a private account, meaning that you would like to keep your account as private and make people request to follow you, that's absolutely fine. But I'm not going to see anything that you tag me in because you are private. So what you can do is send me a picture if you would like me to repost it into my stories, and I'm happy to do that. Or you can just send me a picture because, you know, you want to chat, and that's fine too. But I just want to let you know I'm not angry with you. It's not that I don't like your hoop or anything like that, okay? It's that you're private and I just can't see it. So I know someone was a little bit like, was I doing something wrong at the last stitch along because you reposted everybody's but mine? And I was like, oh honey, you're private. I can't see any of it. I just didn't see it. So I felt really bad, but yeah, that's how Instagram works. So it's totally fine if you want to stay private. I do understand that because I know some people have jobs where they just can't be public for everyone, and that's absolutely fine. So if you want to show me, please show me, send me the picture. I do make myself extremely available for the entirety of the stitch along, so that we can chat, or if you have problems or whatever. I think that's it. Oh, last thing. So I noticed that some people put the banner, some people didn't do the banner, so we'll do the banner last. The regular stitch along should end the 4th of December, which is Friday, the 4th of December. But if you have a banner, we'll probably end the 9th of December, which is that Wednesday. So I just didn't want to cram too much in with the house and it being a lot. So, all right, that's it. That's it from me. So I cannot wait to see your hoops. Thanks for stitching along with me, and I'll talk with you later. All right, bye.